Welcome to 2025 and the first video in the new year. In today's video, we're going to be breaking down the 5 most common New Year's resolutions when it relates to finances. So let's go ahead and get into this. The first one in the resolution that we see the most is creating and sticking to a budget. Now, this of course can be incredibly difficult, but it is a lot easier when you start really having the tools. And if you are using technology, if you're using apps, it does make it a lot easier to really create and stick to a budget. Regardless of what you're trying to do, it is something that is going to improve your finances. Just think of it as the more that you know, the more that you kind of educate yourself on where your money is going makes a big difference in the long run. So breaking this down, guys, tracking all of your expenses. This again could be spreadsheets, could be pen and paper, going old school, could be budgeting apps to monitor where your dollars go. Not only the money that you're generating when it comes to your job, but also the money that is going out. This includes the second part is setting your financial goals, having short-term and long-term financial goals, which will motivate you. Now, when we start thinking of breaking this into our short-term and our long-term, when we think of financial goals, short-term, we're looking for 1 to 3 years. This is going to be something that's not going to be your investing money, not going to be your IRA money, your 401k money. This is going to be money that is set aside for whatever short-term financial goals that you do have. Now that could be a wedding, it could be, an upcoming car expense, it could be something that you really do have more in the short term that you can plan for, that you can budget for. Now, when it comes to long-term financial goals, these of course could be retirement, it could be a dream vacation, sending your kids to school. There could be a ton of different things that fall into this long-term financial goals, but this is usually 3+ years. Even when we talk about investing in general, the investing time frame is 5+ years. So when you think of putting money in the market, don't do it short term. You want to really play the game of averages over a multitude of years, making sure you get a good return. Now, of course, with the budget and with any spending plan, adjusting and reassessing regularly. Really, there are going to be months where you're finding yourself spending a lot more money. There's going to be some months where you do and can cut a lot of different costs. This is going to be imperative because the budget is going to be kind of flexible. For me personally, even thinking in the summer when it's a lot hotter, we see a lot higher electricity bills, also see a lot higher water bills if you're running sprinklers, if you're doing things of that nature. So again, kind of adjusting on a regular basis when it comes to budgeting, because I know the summer months are going to be 2 to 3 times more expensive when it comes to the cost of utilities to run the AC units, to run the sprinkler systems, everything of that nature. So making sure that I do assess that. Now, my budgeting method, and the one that I want to talk about here, is the 50-30-20 rule. So when you start thinking of your income, let's say, for instance, you're making $5,000 a month, 50% of your income should go to the needs, 30% goes to the wants, and 20% goes to the savings, and of course, that debt repayment. That is a very solid structure. I know for a lot of people that doesn't work. A lot of people do like a 60-30-10 rule. So they're saving a little bit less, but overall making sure, and with the cost of goods and services that we're seeing today, 60% of income is being allocated towards those needs, which of course gives it a little bit less to the savings fund and less to that debt repayment. But overall, as long as you're living with inside of your means, that is going to make the biggest difference when it comes to really setting everything aside. If you're making that $5,000 a month and you're spending $6,000, there's going to be a point in time where you're going to be completely out of money. And unfortunately, the debt is going to catch up with you. And the debt, of course, is going to be snowballing against you, which is going to make it incredibly difficult to get out and be actually debt free. And the final one we're looking for on this topic is your automating of your savings. For me, I do the same. I automate my savings to the emergency fund. I do the same to my investment accounts. I even do it to my crypto funds, my HSA account, my 401k plan. Everything that I have to create and stick to this budget is automated on a monthly basis. Now, as we look at the second one, most people are looking to save more money. Now, to do this, there's a lot of different ways that you can, and there's a couple different ways that I approach it. And the first one is cutting unnecessary expenses. When you start looking at as a New Year's resolution, take a good 20-30 minutes, look through your statements, look at things you're not using. It is estimated that roughly $220 a month go to subscription services, which is incredible when you think of one side of the coin. You have people that are trying so hard to save money, to cut expenses, but on the other side, they don't want to miss out on things. They don't want to cut their subscription services. Even thinking of if you have Disney, if you have Amazon, if you have Netflix, if you have HBO, if you have so many different services, how much are you really utilizing them? And really, what are you doing with them? We see a ton of services that are looking for a monthly membership fee, even from car washes, $7.99 here, $9.99 there, $15.99 here. It is incredible. Even thinking of, we just got a new PlayStation. They have a PlayStation Plus, which is a subscription service. Even thinking of our Nintendo Switch has a subscription services. Everything is included and really kind of encompassing with the money that you're paying on a regular basis. Now, the second one is planning meals. This is huge, not only to reduce the food waste, but also save money on groceries. For me, we meal prep every single week. We only buy things at the grocery store that are required to accommodate our weekly mission, which means we don't have a lot of food and a lot of food waste that is going really unused, that is going spoiled, anything of that nature, because it's estimated in the United States 30% of all food that is purchased goes into food waste, which is kind of incredible to think with the cost of food nowadays that it is crazy. And number three, this is something that I do as well, buying in bulk. Buying and purchasing non-perishable items in bulk saves a ton of money. We have Sam's Club, we have Costco, we have BJ's. Choosing one of those three and really picking out what exactly you want to get from your membership. And of course, they do give us a considerable amount of back. But when you start looking at your non-perishable, we're talking about like your paper towel, your toiletries, anything that is not food related, even some things we do get there that are food related, knowing within a week or two we are going to go through it. But when you start looking at the actual cost of the item, for instance, when you think of a roll of toilet paper, if you compare it to like a Meijer's, a Walmart, even looking at a Kroger where we live, it is incredibly discounted when you think of buying it in bulk and buying it at these bigger supply chains. It does make it a lot easier. Now, the fourth one we look at is cashback and rewards programs, taking advantage of cashback on credit cards, rewards programs that they offer at stores. Now, the big caveat to this, or really the catch-22, is if you're paying monthly on a credit card and you are not paying off the balance in full for those rewards, it is not worth it. Mathematically, there's no way that I see if you're paying a interest rate on those credit cards because you are carrying the balances, you are paying more for your cash rewards or your cash back than you will ever see from your return. Some of the credit cards are running, we've seen 24, 30, 35, even 38% interest on credit cards, which is incredible. Taking advantage of the cashback credit cards, again, if you're not paying them off in full, trust me, they are not worth it at all. And of course, when it comes to cutting costs, reviewing insurance policies, shopping around for better rates on your home, on your auto, on your health insurance, on anything that you have insured, 9 times out of 10, you're going to find places that are cheaper. Now, third one we look at is the payoff debt. This, of course, is going to free up money. When you think about 3 buckets, first one, of course, is your income. Second one is your liabilities or your expenses. The third bucket is how much money do you get to keep out of your paycheck? And what we want to do is either increase that first bucket, increase the income that you have. The second bucket, reducing those liabilities or eliminating that debt, giving you more or less money in that third bucket. Now, of course, there are a few methods that I'm going to run through here, and I'm going to show you the exact methodology in the one that I use to be completely debt-free. Now, the first one, which of course is Dave Ramsey's favorite, it is the snowball method. This is going from the smallest debt first, going and moving to your next smallest until they are eliminated. Now, this is based on the balance. It is not worried about the interest rates. And really, this gets to the psychological factor of the debt elimination. So if you have a card that has 50 bucks on it, you knock it out. Now that minimum payment goes to the next card, so on and so forth, will allow you to get, and again, psychologically eliminate a lot of debt pretty quick. Second method, and this is the one that I used, is the avalanche method. This is focusing on paying off the debts, just like we've seen in the snowball method, but this goes from your highest interest rate first, right down to the lowest. Now, for this method, it gives you the biggest bang for your buck. If you're paying off and really focusing on the snowball method and making a payment, let's say towards something that might be 7%, 8%, 10%, and then you have other cards that are at 30%, this is where the avalanche method mathematically is going to be more beneficial. Now, you can also talk to your credit cards. You can negotiate for lower interest rates. This is something that could work in your favor. Overall, I haven't seen a case where it doesn't work in your favor that they end up charging you more. But if you can get anything that is lower, a lower rate for being a loyal customer, you are actually going to be paying less in interest, which equates to less of a monthly payment, but also equates to paying less in interest. Now, when we think again of those 3 buckets, you could also consider a side hustle. So let's say again, you make that $5,000 a month. that is your base salary. That is exactly what you do get. If you consider a side hustle, let's say you bring in an extra $500 a month, you could take that $500, you could dump it right onto your debt, right onto those liabilities. Even if the side hustle is just for a short term, like what we're doing here on YouTube, absolutely love it. And if you like the content that I'm putting out, definitely subscribe to the channel. But overall, eliminating that debt until it is gone. Then if you want to keep the side hustle, great, you could put more towards investment, but making sure that debt is gone in its entirety. And of course, debt repayment plans. This is something that I have actually done with a lot of different individuals through the financial counseling and education program, making a detailed plan, putting in milestones and building it out to know exactly how long we're going to pay off debt. For instance, if you're taking out a loan that is 60 months, we don't want to keep that loan for 60 months, guys. You don't want to pay 60 months of interest. It is going to be super expensive. If we can cut it down to 26, 28, 30 months, literally cutting, 20 months off of a term, that is 20 months that you're not paying interest, meaning you're keeping a lot more money in that third bucket and keeping a lot more money in your pocket. Now, the fourth one we look at is financial literacy. This is the big one. This is what I love to do more than anything. Reading books, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Total Money Makeover. There's a lot of total, really financial literacy, free financial literacy on YouTube. There's books. There are so many different places that you can get all of your financial literacy and education for free. And it's kind of crazy that more people don't take advantage of it because it is free. It just costs your time. There's no actual investment. Even a lot of these books you can read for free online. And of course, the more financial literacy and education that you put into yourself, the more you're going to get out of it. Now, you could also take online courses. There's websites. There's a lot of free personal courses. You could go buy financial courses, but there are a lot of completely free financial courses. You could follow financial blogs, financial YouTube channels. You could join forums, communities, even a lot of times within your state or within your city, within your county. There are a lot of programs that can not only educate you, a lot of credit unions offer these services for free as well because they are not for profit, definitely seeking out those resources. Finally, you could also go into podcasts. You could look at financial podcasts, really valuable insight. And the more information you're taking out or you're really obtaining can make a big difference. Now, I take this financial literacy and education very seriously. You have to be careful of the source you're getting the information. You see people on YouTube, you see them on TikTok, you see them on Instagram that do not offer very good financial advice. And honestly, a lot of people could be way worse off if they're listening to the advice on a lot of social media platforms without knowing exactly what they're doing. And the final one we look at in this one is fighting inflation. This could be even from those bulk stores switching to more of a generic brand, making sure that the generic brand is the same quality as what you buy of the name brand. Now, there are things that really dollar for dollar don't make a lot of sense to get the name brand versus the non-name brand, or looking to get something cheaper, but when the quality is the same, it does make a big difference. Now, even thinking of energy efficiency, saving on utility bills, how could you change your habits, turning off waters, turning off lights, even getting thermostats? When you look at like a Nest thermostat, which is what we have in our house, automatically adjusts when no one's home, and it does make a big difference on your energy bill. When you think of saving, let's say 30 to 40 bucks a month, it can be a game changer when you start looking in the entire year where you're saving a couple $100. Now, of course, shopping, sales, and clearance is something that I love. When you look at sales, when you look at coupons, when you look at clearance, when you look at getting and really the frugality that I've built, really want to make sure I'm getting my money, my money's worth really for anything that I'm investing in, anything that I'm putting money in. And I only invest in quality versus quantity. Buying a more expensive item, for instance, I always buy expensive pairs of shoes. Reason being, I keep my shoes 3 to 5 years. Dollar cost averaging, I'm only paying probably less than 50 cents a day to wear a good pair of shoes, even if I keep it for a multitude of years. But you know what? My back doesn't hurt. My feet don't get sore. It makes a big difference when you look at the quality of items. It is going to save you money in the long run, knowing those shoes are going to last 3 to 5 years. And it's not something that I'm replacing every 6 or 7 months. And of course, the final one I'm going to leave you with in this category is reviewing service plans, looking at phone, looking at internet, looking at cable plans, looking at everything that is your monthly expenses. Where can you cut it? Where can you get it cheaper? Where can you save some money? Overall, guys, that is going to do it for the 5 most common New Year's resolutions that we do see going into 2025. I wish you the best in the prosper. If you have any questions or comments, definitely drop them down below, and I'll catch you in the next video.